Statistics show that students that get the recommended amount of physical activity a week can improve their GPA. The 2016 presidential race continues in New Hampshire, and the Denver Broncos are the Super Bowl champions after defeating the Carolina Panthers.
This is Valley View News.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Desiree Lopez.
And I'm Jarena Silva.
Donald Trump has won the New Hampshire Republican primary.
New Hampshire, I want to thank you. We love you. We're going to be back a lot. We're not going to forget you. You started it. Remember, you started it. We are going now to South Carolina. We're going to win in South Carolina. I love you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
There's magic in the air with this campaign because we don't see it as just another campaign. We see this as an opportunity for all of us, and I mean all of us, to be involved in something that's bigger than our own lives, to change America.
Now, I want to congratulate Donald Trump on an impressive win tonight. And John Kasich had a good night tonight.
Bernie Sanders has won the New Hampshire Democratic primary.
The government of our great country belongs to all of the people and not just a handful of wealthy campaign contributors and their super PACs.
Now we take this campaign to the entire country. We're going to fight for every vote in every state. We're going to fight for real solutions that make a real difference in people's lives.
The candidates will now travel to South Carolina for the February 20th presidential primary.
Residents of Porter Ranch are angered by the gas that is still leaking from a broken well. However, students of Cal State Northridge, just miles away, are concerned that it may be affecting them as well. Jarena Silva has more on this story.
For 4 months, a natural gas leak has been affecting people near Aliso Canyon, causing more than 5,000 families and 2 schools to relocate. Since October 2015, over 80,000 metric tons of methane has leaked out from the damaged well. Cal State Northridge is about 5 miles from the leak with more than 40,000 students. CSUN's Vice President of Administration and Finance, Colin Donahue, says CSUN is not significantly impacted by the leak.
Everything that's been reported is well within the levels that are considered not harmful. And certainly all of the areas that are of primary concern are fairly far north of CSUN.
In an email sent before the spring semester by CSUN President Diane Harrison, health and counseling services are available to affected students. In Northridge, Jarena Silva, Valley View News.
With the beginning of the spring semester well underway, California State University Northridge is exploring the relationship between exercise levels and academic success to ensure students are remaining healthy and getting good grades. Past studies show at least 30 minutes of exercise per day can increase grade point average by half a point, which could make the difference in whether or not students make it to the honor roll. The Student Recreation Center is working with institutional research on campus to collect data and release statistics by the end of the spring semester. Reporter Jamie Perez has the full story.
Increased levels of exercise have a positive effect on students' grade point average, according to past studies. CSUN student Leah Morgan is proof of this.
I've definitely noticed since I have been going out and working out and doing stuff recreationally that I actually do improve wanting to get stuff done for class.
Exercise has also been shown to have various effects on students depending on the frequency and intensity of the workouts. Exercise is beneficial to everyone, but excessive amounts can actually have a negative impact, particularly on men. For women, it has the opposite effect. Jimmy Francis is the director of CSUN Student Recreation Center and says exercise may affect men and women differently.
We have a group of people that we called and labeled super users, and those are people that came above and beyond, far more than anyone else. So in that super users group, there's males and there's females. And what we saw in the GPA was that in the super user category, the males' GPA went down. In the super user category for females, it went up.
The Center for Disease Control recommends about 30 minutes of exercise 5 days per week.
Finding that balance is tough. I don't really know. I mean, I would probably go with the CDC, recommendation for 30 minutes of moderate exercise as a basic, level, and of course, more up from there would be good, but not too much, because you need to study.
Exercise triggers cognitive juices, making students perform better academically.
Students that are doing better in the classroom tend to be a little bit more organized, a little bit more scripted, a little bit more, they plan their day out, perhaps maybe they're finding that the more organized they are, the more time they can do one thing, they move to the next, and fit in that exercise.
Even though there may be a correlation between the amount of exercise students get and how well they perform in the classroom, there are a lot of other factors that go into how well students do in the classroom.
It's almost a case by case. Generally, we know through lots of studies done over the years that when students engage more on campus, and one way to engage is through exercise and using the rec center, that they do better. The studies show that. But a study only really characterizes the people that are involved in that study. So for some people, it might not help.
Well, multiple studies have been conducted showing the correlation between exercise and GPA, showing that students who exercise at least 20 more minutes during the day have a higher GPA. So if you want to increase your grades in the classroom, increase your heart rate at the gym. In Northridge, I'm Jamie Perez for Valley View News.
60% of college students don't get the recommended 150 minutes of physical activity each week. That's 30 minutes of exercise 5 times a week. Statistics show 60% of college women and 40% of men don't meet the requirement. Students' responses here at CSUN supported that data.
Like once a week.
I would say about 5 times a week. Usually every morning I try to go to the gym, play basketball.
Just recently I started exercising 5 times a week, every day in the morning.
Probably 2.5 hours every day. Every day? Yeah, every day, to be honest.
Lately I've been trying to change my habits, so I try to work out at least 4 times a week.
Healthy working out, healthy in school. I think it all meshes together.
Students said they will exercise more now, knowing it will improve their GPA.
Cheating on exams has always been an issue. Valley View News reporter Stephen Jones has more on how technology is making it easier for students to cheat and how professors are trying to prevent them from cheating.
As technology becomes more prevalent in the classroom, educators are worried that cheating may be easier than ever. A recent Harvard poll shows 82% of students admit to cheating. The poll also shows that only 10% of students are caught. Current technology is only making cheating easier. Before, teachers had to worry about cheat sheets such as this one. But with greater advancements in technologies, things like cell phones and laptops are making it harder for professors to catch cheaters. Students can use items such as their phones to look up answers online during exams. A recent poll by the Josephson Institute shows that 97% of college students have smartphones with them during exams. CSUN student Nick Seaman says he has heard of stories of students cheating using their phones.
Well, yeah, I've seen it in final exams. One day where the teacher sat at the front of the class, and at the back people were able to pull their phones out and read some of the stuff online using their smartphones. I didn't take the opportunity to do that, but I saw it happen.
Even though the technology has flooded the classrooms, teachers continue to try and find ways to prevent cheating. Professor of Journalism at Cal State University Northridge, Terry Thente, says she has had to come up with some of her own ways to try and prevent cheating.
I would have all my students put their iPads, their smartphones, their computers underneath them so they wouldn't have to go online to find any answers. I found that helped.
With the introduction of more classes such as iPad classes, professors may have even more difficulty discovering cheaters. In Northridge, Stephen Jones, Valley View News.
2 people, including a pregnant woman, were killed while fleeing a gunman and crashing into the porch of a Boyle Heights home last Sunday. The Los Angeles Police Department said the incident began near East Cesar Chavez Avenue and Enchandia Street. They said a gunman stepped out of a black SUV and shot into a white car. The car then sped away from the scene and crashed into the home. A man inside was uninjured. Investigators are searching for the gunman, who is described as a Hispanic man, 6 feet to 6 feet 4 inches tall, in his 20s.
Chipotle closed all of its stores last Monday to discuss food safety in the wake of the E. coli outbreak. CEO Steve Ellis discussed health and safety issues in the 4-hour meeting held in Denver. The U.S. Justice Department is investigating the outbreak for possibly criminal activity. More than 500 people got sick after eating at Chipotle last year.
Twitter chief executive Jack Dorsey told fans of the popular social media app that Twitter would not become outdated anytime soon. Fans feared that Twitter would become more like Facebook, but Dorsey said the service would introduce a new feature that would make the app feel livelier. The new update includes a new algorithmic timeline that would highlight the most popular stories of the day while still keeping chronological updates from users. This new update could be critical for the company since it has lost half their value in shares during the last 3 months. Their stocks were down almost 4% on Monday morning. Dorsey did not reveal a date for when these updates would be completed, revealed, or published. When we come back, CSUN students are struggling with their backpacks.
And we will have a story including a record-breaking CSUN basketball player.
Backpacks are a necessary tool for students to carry around school, but the weight of the backpacks has a long-term effect on students' posture that may be causing arthritis and even headaches. Reporter Jamie Perez went to the health center on campus at California State University Northridge to get the full report.
Taneen Kademi has suffered from back pain multiple times as a student. She says carrying around a backpack is the main reason for her numerous doctor's visits.
A lot of doctors, I've seen a lot of chiropractors, and then because I used to have like low back pain every day.
Kademi says she's had to switch over to using a rolling backpack to relieve the stress off her lower back.
Because I could feel like tension on my shoulder and my back, so I decided not to carry backpack anymore, and then having the rolling backpack that could keep my back straight and then take the tension off my back and shoulder and give me relief of not having a low back pain.
Dr. Robert Patterson says students who carry heavy backpacks suffer from several health issues.
Well, it leads to headaches, neck pain, shoulder pain, and back pain, which are the most common things that we see here, and we can relate to backpacks.
Dr. Patterson gives his patients stretching tips to reverse some of the damage done by carrying around too much weight.
Right wrist.
Okay.
Yes.
It's common for students to carry backpacks that are too heavy for them. In fact, in 2015, 14% of college students reported being treated or diagnosed by a professional for chronic back pain. And that's not surprising considering textbooks can be pretty heavy.
Backpacks are a necessary component for any student, but carrying that weight on your back isn't mandatory. Some students switch to rolling backpacks to relieve the pressure off their back. Dr. Patterson says in addition to having a rolling backpack, staying in shape can also help.
Exercise, stretching, and just making sure they have good body mechanics when they move, when they go to bend to lift things. Ideally carrying a weight that's appropriate for them in the backpack.
The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends no more than 10 to 15% of a person's body weight to be carried in backpacks. And this may be difficult considering students carry books, laptops, lunch, water bottles, and other supplies every day. But if students take the necessary steps like getting more flexible and strengthening their backs, they can dodge some of these major problems.
Oftentimes the first course of care is to getting flexibility. Getting them stretching, getting flexibility. Then the second phase of it is strengthening.
As long as students only carry around what they absolutely need, they can avoid the detriments of putting too much pressure on their backs. In Northridge, I'm Jamie Perez, Valley View News.
Now let's go to Carla Gutierrez with the latest in sports news.
Thank you, Desiree. The Denver Broncos defeated the Carolina Panthers in Super Bowl 50 24-10. The Broncos took an early lead in the first quarter on a 34-yard field goal. Later in the first quarter, at the Panthers' 15-yard line, Broncos outside linebacker Von Miller forced Cam Newton to fumble. Malik Jackson recovered the ball to give Denver a 10-0 lead. In the second quarter, Jonathan Stewart scored the only Panthers touchdown of the game. Then in the fourth quarter, Denver scored this touchdown and a successful two-point conversion, giving them the win. This was quarterback Peyton Manning's second Super Bowl win, and he is the first quarterback to win Super Bowls with two different teams. Manning is also the oldest starting quarterback in Super Bowl history and became the first NFL quarterback with 200 career wins. Broncos linebacker Von Miller earned the Super Bowl MVP title. Miller had 2.5 sacks, 6 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 2 hurries, and a pass defense. Panthers quarterback Cam Newton was named the 2015 NFL's MVP, but finished the game with 3 turnovers that included 2 fumbles and an interception. Seattle Seahawks running back Marshawn Lynch made a subtle announcement last Sunday that he is retiring. During the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, Lynch posted a picture via Twitter of football cleats hanging from a telephone wire. He captioned his photo with a peace out emoji sign. Lynch had 3 successful years at Cal before being drafted the 12th overall pick by the Buffalo Bills in 2007. He was later traded to the Seattle Seahawks in 2010 and was a major factor in the team's Super Bowl championship in 2013. Lynch started in 114 games and has 74 career touchdowns. The Los Angeles Clippers defeated the Miami Heat last Sunday 100-93. The victory comes despite another injured player in their starting lineup. Reserve guard Austin Rivers is out for 6 weeks with a hand injury, and all-star power forward Blake Griffin is still out with a similar injury. Chris Paul missed his first 9 shots but managed to make 2 3-pointers in the last 4 minutes of play. DeAndre Jordan made 8 of 23 shots and finished the game with 22 points and 7 assists. The Clippers bench contributed with Jamal Crawford scoring 11 of his 20 points in the fourth quarter and Cole Aldridge snatching 11 rebounds. The New York Knicks have fired head coach Derek Fisher. The Knicks went 40-96 in 2 seasons with Fisher as coach. Fisher had no previous coaching experience. Team president Phil Jackson and Fisher had history together that dates back to their days with the Lakers. Fisher says the Knicks are a talented team and is confident they will succeed. The Cal State Northridge men's basketball team fell short in Long Beach last weekend. The Matadors lost a late lead to the 49ers and lost 81-76. CSUN held a 3-point lead at halftime. Junior Kendall Smith put the Matadors up by 10 points at the start of the second half with 7 straight points. Long Beach managed to battle back to regain the lead down the stretch. Northridge shot 47% while scoring 20 points off turnovers. Smith and sophomore Michael Warren led CSUN with 14 points each. Senior Trey Hale Edmerson moved up a spot on CSUN's all-time rebounds list. He stands in 6th place with 673 rebounds. Trey Hale Edmerson is not only a successful rebounder, but is also the all-time shot block leader in CSUN history. As Anna Logan learned, basketball was always the #1 option for Trey.
I was just kind of a little bit taller than everyone else, so that was a given.
What wasn't a given was that he would become a college-level center and a driving force on the team. Head coach Reggie Theus says he's growing as a player and as an individual.
I have to say that Trey has consistently got better each year. He's improved himself in a lot of ways on and off the court since I've been here.
But before the Oregon native started breaking CSUN records, he found himself in a different arena.
I wrestled from like 2nd grade to 8th grade, and then I got too tall for that.
The now 6'9" center started playing basketball and continued through high school. Edmerson was offered a scholarship, but it wasn't with CSUN.
I actually originally signed to go to Seattle University, and then they told me that I didn't get in or whatever, but they wanted me to go to prep school.
So instead of flying to Seattle, Edmerson instead opted for a prep school in Northridge, where he eventually was picked up by CSUN recruits.
Trey is our facilitator. He is a 4-man that handles the ball very well. We run a lot of our offense through him because he's a good passer. He's a very good basketball IQ.
The center has a good IQ off the court, too. Edmerson is majoring in recreational and tourism management.
It's a fun major.
Edmerson said it can be difficult sometimes, though, to be a student athlete. Trey spends most of his days here at the Matadome, but just like any other student, he has to go to class. Now, it's actually there where the professors work very closely together with Trey to make sure that any game is not going to interfere with an exam. But Trey, on the other hand, just wants to be treated like a regular student.
I don't like asking for them to take an extra step for me just because I'm an athlete.
After Edmerson graduates, he plans to continue to play basketball.
I've been doing this since I was little, and that's always been the dream, is to make something out of it.
In Northridge, Anna Logan, Valley View News.
The Cal State Northridge men's volleyball team lost to Stanford University last weekend. The Cardinals defeated the Matadors in a straight set decision. Freshman Dimitar Kalchev led CSUN with 9 kills, 1 ace, and an assist. Other top performers included Sam Porter and CJ Suarez with a combined 26 assists and 11 digs. It was the Matadors' 4th straight loss after winning their first 7 games. That's all for sports. Now back to you.
China appears to be sticking with North Korea, its longtime ally, even though North Korea ignored its request to not launch a rocket last Sunday. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un went ahead with the launch a day earlier than expected, and his government said it successfully put a satellite into orbit. The launch was a mission to develop ballistic missile technologies. Analysts say it is unclear how long China will tolerate North Korea's unpredictable nature. They say China is humiliated by Jong-un's refusal to cooperate.
Rescue efforts continue in Taiwan after a 6.4 magnitude earthquake last Saturday killed at least 36 people. More than 100 are possibly still buried under the rubble. Sensors deployed at the site of a 17-story building that collapsed detected faint signs of life. The city's Secretary General says rescuers are trying to reach people through elevator shafts and underground water pipes. Efforts have been unsuccessful so far. Prosecutors are reviewing the construction and engineering of the building to explain the reason why it collapsed.
United Nations human rights investigators say the Syrian government has exterminated and tortured thousands of detainees. The report claims President Bashar al-Assad's regime has participating in large-scale human rights violations. It says tens of thousands at a time are being beaten to death or died of starvation. The prisoners consist of refugees, members of the rebellion, and loyalist renegades. Witnesses report officers are being trained in torture methods.
When we come back, we will have entertainment news,
including the top Super Bowl ads. Riverside police charged 2 men for the shooting of 15-year-old Lorenz Simmons, who was gunned down 3 years ago while walking home from a friend's house. Riverside Police Department Chief Sergio Diaz said Simmons was a target of a hate crime. The 2 suspects had criminal records and were described by police as gang members. Family members of the victim said the arrests have helped them achieve closure.
A fire near the Spanish Hills Country Club in Camarillo on Sunday night was controlled after an hour. Firefighters were able to protect the homes amid winds of 20 to 25 miles per hour. Crews remained on the scene for a couple more hours to make sure the fire didn't flare up again. It burned just 3 acres.
The remains of 2 of the victims involved in the mid-air plane crash in Santa Monica were recovered last weekend. Officials from the U.S. Coast Guard said 2 planes went down near the Los Angeles Gate Lighthouse and Long Beach ports. 2 elderly men were in one of the planes. It's believed a 72-year-old woman was in the other plane. The collision is under investigation.
Last week, we reported CSUN graduate Marie Coronel and cameraman Mike Gold from ABC 10 News in San Diego were seriously injured by a falling tree while preparing for a live shot. Gold suffered a broken leg. Coronel suffered major injuries to her head and spine. After 6-hour surgery to stabilize broken bones and prevent further injury, doctors say Coronel is awake and alert. Coronel spent about a week in ICU and has now been transferred out. A statement posted on Coronel's Facebook page on her behalf states Marie is now out of surgery. The damage was a little bit more extensive than they thought, but it appears to have been successful. Marie is grateful for the prayers and well wishes, so thank you all. CSUN continues to send our condolences to the injured and their families.
Let's go to Diana with all of your entertainment news.
A Super Bowl isn't a Super Bowl without its commercials. This Hyundai commercial featuring Kevin Hart was the favorite among viewers according to USA Today's annual poll. The Mountain Dew's Kickstart's Puppy Monkey Baby hybrid commercial was the talk of social media as most memorable. And Doritos rounded out top 3 with its ultrasound commercial showing a fetus reaching for a snack. The Super Bowl 50 commercials continue to gain exposure on YouTube. Each 30-second commercial cost $5 million apiece. This year's Super Bowl halftime show featured 3 superstar performers. Headliners Coldplay started off the show with songs like Viva La Vida and Paradise. The most memorable part of Coldplay's performance was the colorful effects that took over the stage. Then Bruno Mars hit the stage and performed his hit Uptown Funk. The 30-year-old singer danced up a storm with his group mates. The most anticipated moment came when Beyoncé hit the stage for her new song, Formation. Beyoncé and her crew took over the show with fireworks, shooting flames, and one scary moment when Queen Bee seemed to almost lose her balance. Eventually, Coldplay joined the fun. Also featured were some past performers including Whitney Houston, Bruce Springsteen, and Michael Jackson. The performance ended with the audience holding onto placards that spelled out an inspiring message in multiple colors: believe in love. CBS announced the finale for The Good Show, The Good Wife, in an ad during the Super Bowl. Series creators Robert and Michelle King previously said they would be leaving the show to start new projects. Juliana Margulies has won 2 Emmys for her role in the show. Margulies says this has been one of the most rewarding experiences of her career. 9 more episodes will air on CBS, with the finale set for Sunday, May 8th. That's all for entertainment. Now back to you.
It's been unseasonably warm this month with strong Santa Ana winds. Students at CSUN are dressed for summer-like weather, but strong winds have kept some students covered up and seeking shade from the heat. Temperatures were in the 80s all week. It is expected to cool down later this month.
Thank you for watching Valley View News. I'm Jorina Silva.
And I'm Desiree Lopez. Take care, LA.